If you've been aspiring for a long time to do stand-up comedy, but you have not been on stage yet, the most likely reason for that is that you are complicating the process of getting on stage. So in your head, you have this idea of just how prepared you need to be. And it's very likely that however prepared you are, you understand that you could be a little bit more prepared. And so that is a very common reason to keep procrastinating for getting on stage. So what I would say to you, and this is my best suggestion, is simplicity is going to be your friend. For the very first show, keep everything super, super simple. And that is going to lower this bar, this threshold that you need to clear in order to justify getting on stage. And then once you get on stage, even if it's a really low bar that you put for yourself, once you get on stage, you get that laugh, you're going to realize that in your head you built it up and you created this fear that doesn't actually exist. And so you're going to be really, really passionate about getting on stage a second time. And then suddenly, what seemed like such a huge problem is going to be so between 0 and 1 seems like 0 and 1 shows seems really difficult. But between the first show and getting on for a second show, that is going to pretty much take care of itself because you're going to remember the 1 or 2 laughs you got and you're going to say, wow, that was fun. I want to try it again. You're going to make those small adjustments and you're going to automatically find yourself on this learning curve again where you're actually getting on stage and having fun. So let me get a little bit more specific. So obviously, simplicity is your friend. But what I would suggest for you is to book yourself on an open mic show. So maybe the first week, go to the open mic, introduce yourself to some of the comedians, tell them you're an aspiring comedian, and that maybe next week you'll come back and do your own material. And then for that next week, instead of booking yourself for 5 minutes, book yourself for 2 minutes. Now, I know that that seems like, man, that's going to be a really big waste of time because I don't want to just do 2 minutes. Wouldn't that be awkward to only do 2 minutes on stage? No, because once you do those 2 minutes, you're going to be back the next week trying to do 5 minutes because you're going to love being on stage, right? The first time you get a laugh, it's super, super addicting. One of my favorite quotes about stand-up comedy is this quote says, the difference between stand-up comedy and cocaine is that you can quit cocaine. That's how it feels to get a good laugh on stage. You're like, this is all I can think about. I really want to jump back on stage. And so the people that say, okay, I'm only going to do 2 minutes, sure, you jump on stage, you do 2 minutes, maybe even let's say it was slightly awkward because you only did, let's say, like maybe 6 or 7 jokes. Sure, fine, whatever. The next week, you're going to be on stage doing things exactly like those other comedians. And at that point, will you really care that a week ago you did only 2 minutes? No, that's going to be in the past because you're going to be focused on jumping on stage and getting as much time as you possibly can. I remember when I was first starting out teaching comedy, I was doing live classes, and I had this girl in my class who was absolutely afraid of being on the stage, and to the point where we were just in a class. There's no real audience. It's just other students as well. And probably like very early on, maybe there was like maybe 7 or 8 other students in the class. But even with just performing for other students, she was deathly afraid of getting on stage and telling one of her jokes. And then when she started out the course, she told me, I'm gonna write, I'm gonna enjoy it, but I'm not gonna perform. And so I convinced her to just get on stage and just tell the other students about yourself. And so she got on stage, she held this microphone, and I think I might have even taken the microphone away because she didn't, she was kind of shaking. But either way, so she just got on stage and she just started talking about her life a little bit. And at one point, maybe it's like maybe 30 seconds or so into her talking, the audience starts to laugh, right? The other students, like something about what she said was kind of funny. And so like she just always wanted to get off the stage so that she didn't have to be there. And then right when she got that laugh, all of a sudden, like she was like, oh, let me expand on what I just said. And then she started telling the story that was behind that story. And then you could not get this girl off the stage. After about 10 minutes of her talking, eventually I had to say, you did a great job, but please come down. And I think she probably talked for another 5 minutes after I was trying to get her down, right? And then of course, every week after that, when we did the course, she was up there doing her comedy because suddenly she realized that this is not such a scary thing in the first place. So that's what I want for you when you are, especially for those comedians that you have zero performances, and especially if you have been building up the idea of performing in your head. Take my advice. Keep it super simple. Do only 2 minutes of material, and then don't even worry about like, okay, openers and closers. My opener should be the strongest joke that I have. My closer should be the second strongest and the most memorable joke that I have. That is too much. Don't even worry about it. Nobody cares about your closer the first time you're on stage. And same thing for segues. All right, how do I get from topic one to topic two? Your first time on stage, you don't. You say, here's a joke about cats, and then I have a relationship problem with my girlfriend. Fine. It doesn't matter. Your first time on stage, simplicity is the only thing that matters. And if you take my advice, if you keep things super simple, then sure, the time between when you're getting on stage, you might feel like, oh, this is a little too simple. But once you get that laugh on stage, it will no longer matter what you were feeling earlier on. All right, so keep it simple, do a very short set, and have fun.
Be sure to like and subscribe, and check out a list of free comedy training resources in the description below.